and this is our plan of attack.
Banks have become an essential threat to our democracy. So consider this justice.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported radio station on the internet. Please help support this station so this battle can continue forward. Revolution Radio!
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Barbara Jean Lindsey is an internationally acclaimed psychic, spiritual healer, author, and founder of the online mystery school, Esoteric University. As the Cosmic Oracle, she is a conduit to the powers that be to answer your questions about your future self, past lives, current career, love. She shines light into the darkness to illuminate what was, what may be, and beyond. The readings and advice given by Barbara Jean Lindsey are for entertainment purposes only, should not take the place of any medical, legal, or financial advice given to you by a qualified professional, and are not a substitute for medical, legal, or financial advice. If you need a doctor, call a doctor. If you need to be expanded, call the Cosmic Oracle. Past lives, current career, love. She shines light into the darkness to illuminate what was, what may be, and beyond. The readings and advice given by Barbara Jean Lindsey are for entertainment purposes only, should not take the place of any medical, legal, or financial advice given to you by a qualified professional, and are not a substitute for medical, legal, or financial advice. If you need a doctor, call a doctor. If you need to be expanded, call the Cosmic Oracle. Current career, love. She shines light into the darkness, illuminating what.
Welcome everyone to the Cosmic Oracle Show, and we are coming to you live from Northern California. This is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey, and we are having an important, I believe it's an important show today because I have one of my kind of new favorite friends that I met online about a year ago, I believe it was, and he helped me change my life, and so I want to offer his experiences and his wisdom to you as well today. So we have MICHAEL HARRELL. I'll introduce you momentarily, but before we do, I do want to thank you for listening to freedomslips.com Revolution Radio. We are an all 100% listener. Oh, I didn't hear that. Listener-supported station. So thanks to you is how we are on live right now and have the freedom to talk about whatever we want to talk about. So all you have to do is to generously continue to support us here at Revolution Radio. And the way you can do that is just go to freedomslips.com, hit that donate button, and donate whatever you can. So far this month, we have $2,046 raised. We need $2,095, $2,250 to keep the lights on here on the station. So please give generously, whatever you can, $1, $5, and just go to freedomslips.com and hit that donate button. And so, without further ado, I want to tell you a little bit about Michael, and I'm going to have him kind of introduce himself too. Michael is the founder of Language Lessons of the Heart, and he has a prominent following here on Facebook, and so you can reach Michael on Facebook at michael.harrell. That's HARRELL. 1426 here on Facebook. So, welcome to the show, Michael. I'm hoping that you can hear me. Hello, Michael.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. You're on the show now. And one of the reasons why I had you on the show, Michael, we were talking before the show started today, is your work that you have up on YouTube right now is the Finding Your Lion Heart and going full collie. So I love that. So we're going to talk about that today for sure. But before we do, can you kind of give our listeners a little bit of a background of how you got into this kind of work?
Well, long story of my life is I started off with a really, really bad self-image. I had dyslexia and I failed school and all that kind of stuff. And then, in my early 20s, I bumped into a guy who was enlightened, and that changed my world. To actually hang out for a whole day with just a random guy that I met who was enlightened, and I saw that was the direction I wanted to go. So I went and looked around for some gurus and found a guru that was like an amazing, world-class kind of guru, a perfect master kind of type. And I took his initiation and I did a potload of meditation for like about 12 or 13 years. I reached a certain level of enlightenment. You could see light in my head and bliss and just grace and all that kind of stuff. And then drum roll, I hit the dark night of the soul. I had a midlife crisis, and my girlfriend at the time for like 10 years, which she left me, and my job quit and all that kind of stuff. So then, as the hero's journey goes, a wise woman said, "Michael, you're out of touch with your emotional body." And I thought she was talking French or something. I didn't know what the emotional body was. And I thought, well, I'm an enlightened guy. I have all this God light inside me. And this is an important lesson that even if you have a God light inside you and you're enlightened, floating off the ground, that doesn't touch your emotional issues. Mm-hmm. So the spirituality does not touch your emotional issues. So I had this big emotional foot, a big spiritual foot, and I had to take all that concentration and put it into my emotional body. And then, I met, as the story goes, I met some people and they showed me how to do this and that, and read a bunch of books and all that kind of stuff. And then I developed, doing the process on myself, I learned how people become wounded and then how to help. It's pretty simple, actually. Like the universe says, keep it simple, stupid, So, we take things in, like what we take in to our being, sticks to us. Yeah. So what is done to us, we do to ourselves. And there's a process of that. It's automatic, subconscious, nonverbal, and invisible. Those are the things, if you can think of it as like the steps. Somebody abuses you, somebody shouts at you, somebody makes you feel bad, and then click, 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 click. Automatic, subconscious, nonverbal, and invisible. This whole thing is imprinted onto your soul. And I say soul because it goes not only into your head, but it goes into your subconscious, into your biofield, which extends out 6 feet all the way around. Mm. So what gets imprinted on your biofield becomes your world. Yeah. So if you have neglect or sadness or these kind of things or whatever, abuse, then that's at an early age, that's 6 feet out away from you. And then that becomes the filter. That becomes the dark glasses that you see the world with. So the world is against you, or the world is hard, or I'm not good enough, and all this whole list of things that we have imprinted on us. It's too much to mention, but you get the idea. So right. I learned some different, like the 4 processes in order to break up that pattern of being imprinted and clear it out of your emotional body. So the first one I had was an empowerment. I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. Will you help me? And the empowerment is really good. You say it like 10,000 times. Okay. And I have videos on this. Like you said, I have 50 videos on this whole process. And the reason for that is because now you're imprinting this positive affirmation. I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. You're imprinting that into your biofield, and you go backwards in time and forwards in time and into your events of your life. And what this does is it changes the intent of whatever your stuff is. So, people carry around wounds from the cradle or from the being born. And so you don't know how far back it is. The other thing is we got an incredibly negative, cult called culture, called society. And the average child is told no 56,000 times by the time they're 18. And it just, you don't really notice it, but it adds up over time to thousands. So we have this no filters. So I'm not good enough and I can't do this. And every time I get what I want, I can't get it, and that kind of stuff.
So it's like conditioning. So you're
conditioning. It is absolutely conditioning. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, then that's one. So that's the empowerment, and then there's the emotional release. And the emotional release means, like we were talking about this earlier. Mm-hmm. We were talking about this earlier. Emotional release is when you take in something like your mom shouts at you, or your boyfriend cheats on you, or if the bullies pick on you. When you take that in, it has a certain frequency. And the frequency is of pain and of hurt or anger or fear, right? And emotional frequencies have a lot of power. And this is how you get actually imprinted. It is because the electrical, disturbance imprints into your biofield. Okay, so what you do with emotional release work is you raise up your frequency by screaming and shouting or moaning or crying or feeling your terror or feeling your grief. And when you feel these things, when you can match your frequency of your emotion to the original frequency of the child or of the event in the past, then you're on the same level and then you can deal with it. And like I said, a wound consists of automatic, subconscious, nonverbal, and invisible. Well, what you actually do when you go into an emotional release is you visualize what it is, and instead of it just happening to you like the way you walk and talk, you're actually engaged in it. So it's not an automatic thing. You're engaged. You're doing something about it, and then you have this visualization. You can see who said something bad to you, and you're addressing them in your imagination. And then you have this verbal, you're being verbal about it. So that reverses the same steps. This is critical. You reverse the same steps that it took to get into your pain. And then you say to the person, the mom or the bully, I hate you. You're drop dead. You should never do this. And you're screaming, or you hurt me so much. You had no right to hurt me. And you go through this little sort of like scenario. You relive the scenario as an adult of what happened to you when you're a child. You see, you relive it, but this time you relive it as an adult. So you're not the victim. You're the one who steps in and becomes the hero of the, healing the wound or protecting yourself or pushing away what, anger is to push away what hurt you, and fear is to run away from what hurts you. So that's the principle. That's how it happens. Okay, then the next one, that's two. That's the processes that I teach. The empowerment process, doing that alone can change your life. And then doing the emotional release work, which we're going to talk about finding your lion heart in a minute. Yeah. But the emotional release work is what really does the pick and shovel. So, and then the next one is judgment and denial release. We have these judgments, right? So you have the pain inside of you, and it goes out to your biofield 6 feet away, and that clouds your vision of the world. Oh, there is no man for me. Oh, everything's hard, or I'm not wanted, or I have to do things to please other people. And there is, all these kind of judgments. These are judgments. They're little mini beliefs, and they become life scripts. And you actually have to take those apart one by one. So I have like a formal judgment and denial release. And when you take apart the judgment and the denials, then the whole table of the process falls down. Your what do you call it? Your patterns of behavior, from being a mousy person or being a victim person to being normal or to being a conqueror. You see, this has to do with your self-programming. When you come to the conclusion that you're not worthy, that sticks to you. And then you see, I'm not worthy, so I'm not a worthy dad, I'm not a worthy mom, I'm not a worthy worker, I'm not worthy in the eyes of God. You see how that works? See how that goes? I'm not worthy in a relationship.
I'm not good enough. It's kind of another one of that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And of which there's hundreds of those. And it goes into the illness too. Like, I don't deserve love or I don't deserve, or it's my job to be the black sheep. Yeah. And if it's your job to be this black sheep, that means that you're actually become a magnet for more abuse and more, you see what I'm saying? And it goes on, and so it affects you physically and emotionally. So, because every illness has its roots in some kind of emotional disturbance. There is no question. For example, arthritis and bursitis and, these autoimmune diseases, what they are is people who are very, very hurt and angry, but they decide, I want to be happy. I want people to like me, and I want to be happy, and I don't want to hurt people. So they're very, very nice people. Then the anger goes out and hits this, you have to be nice all the time. And then hits that barrier and comes back and has nowhere to go. It's like a tug of war inside. So that a nice person who's really sitting on a big volcano of anger, then it's like a tug of war, like an internal fight. So then you get, autoimmune disease, you get arthritis, bursitis, you get ulcers, you get all this kind of stuff because you have a dip in the energy field of your biofield. And this purely has to do with not moving your emotions. And it has to do with the judgments and beliefs that you carry in your head that filter your actions. So that's three of them. Judgment and denial release is the third one. And the fourth one is the talking to the parts of self. And this one is so amazing. So amazing. In my model, you have four primary parts of self plus you as the adult. In your head is called the heart, top three chakras. Your heart is in your heart chest area. And that's everybody knows where the heart chakra is. And then your belly is the will. So spirit, heart, will. Your will is the deep feminine, the emotional body, the mother energy. And that's in your belly, the lower three chakras. And then your whole body. So these are four centers of consciousness that all work together as one for you. And, what's beautiful about that is that they are your primary relationship. The man out here or the woman out there is not your primary relationship. They are the ones who are with you, do or die, 24/7. Relationships come and go, but you still have your own spirit, heart, will, and body. When you begin to interact with them on a conscious level, you talk to them, they talk back. It's like channeling yourself. So you can talk to your spirit, which is your head, your thinking part. You can talk to your heart. How have you been? What's been going on? How, or do you have any discomfort? You can talk to your will. What's happening here? How are you doing? And you build a relationship with them. Now, when people say self-love, when we hear something like self-love, right? What is self-love? What is the self? And how do I love it? Right? Because it's an idea. Self-love is the idea. But you can love a dog real easy. You can love a child real easy. You can even love a TV program. That's real easy. But when it comes to loving ourselves, it's like, what is that? How do you do that? Yeah. As soon as you have these 4 parts of yourself separated a little bit, then you can talk to them. What it's been like to being me. I want you to be happy. And you can talk to each one of these parts and then you can love them. You see what I'm saying? You can build a loving internal atmosphere of love and cooperation. Now, if you've been shamed and blamed all your life, then that maybe goes into your emotional body. So your heart's up here trying to be all right and your mind's trying to be all right, but down here in your emotional body is like a big dead weight. And she's like, I can't do anything. I'm the victim and all this kind of stuff. So you can actually do transactional analysis. You can actually do therapy, family therapy on yourself. So, and you can do relationship therapy, because if you think of your head, right? So everybody knows about the left brain and the right brain, the masculine and feminine, but your head represents the masculine, the man. The heart represents the child, and your belly represents the female. So in all relationships, right? If you're a man in your relationship with a woman, and it's like, she doesn't treat me right, right? Then whatever you see out there in her is what's going on inside your belly, right? And if you're a woman and you're saying the man doesn't treat me right, or she doesn't listen to me, right? Well, inside of her own mind is treating her the way the man on the outside is treating her. You see how that works? Mm-hmm. So we're never in an actual relationship with a man or a woman. We're in a relationship with our inner reflection. And this is powerful, powerful work. I mean, this is as deep as psychological work as you can get in terms of relationship, inner child work, working on your heart issues, and all these kinds of things. Because whatever the message is that's in your head, if the message is I'm no good, life's not worth living, or I can't do anything right, whatever's in the head has to pass down through the heart, right, which represents your child, and hits the will. And the will goes, there's something wrong with me. I can't do it. And she's the mother. She's the one who manifests everything. Right. So the relationship between your thoughts and feelings is the same relationship between the man and the woman, right? If you are overriding other people's feelings, then that's because your feelings are over. And other people overriding your feelings is because your mind is overriding your own feelings. It's just one-to-one relationship. And in this world, the number one issue in this world, number one issue, I don't care where you look in society, is heartlessness. Heartlessness is in families, it's heartlessness, in relationships, it's heartlessness, in banking and military and government, it's heartlessness is the number one issue. And it is this not having alignment between your head and your belly, between your thoughts and your feelings, between your inner man and your inner woman. When that's not in alignment, both going down as the thought and going back up as the feeling hits the heart, and heart gets blown out. So basically what you see is everybody on planet Earth is in this condition where their hearts are blown out and they're trying to follow their head, and their feelings are going. So you have your feelings going one way, like this is all crap, and the other one's your head's going, I got to do the 9 to 5, I got to keep that right, and the heart's going something else. So you don't have anything what's called congruent. Congruent is simple. It means when your spirit, heart, will, and body are on the same track, going the same way. It's not that, so, if you want to go outside and play, okay, but maybe you can't. So your mind says, we got to go to work. And the heart says, I want to go play. And the will says, I want to kick back and relax. And the body says, I'm exhausted. You guys been fighting all the time. So now you got these four different things, right? Well, it's entirely possible to go back and talk to the parts of self and get them all in alignment. Well, how about if we play on Saturday and get everybody to get in alignment? And then as soon as everybody says, okay, or I got a strict diet. How about if we eat ice cream on Saturday, right? And then say, okay, well, then that's okay. The body agrees. Everybody agrees. You see, then you're in alignment. You're congruent. And very few people are congruent. They're just living out of their head of doing whatever they think they're doing. They're living out of their habit. So that's talking to the parts of self. And then to take it to the next level, okay? Mm-hmm. Your spirit, heart, will, and body also have enough of energy to stand on their own. And I'll give you an example. If you get really, really tired, right? Mm-hmm. Your voice changes. You go, oh, I'm tired. I got to go to bed, right? Or if you get really, really hungry, your body gets really hungry. You go, oh man, I'm so hungry. I have to eat something. I'm going to die, right? So when your body has needs, it takes over your whole being. You're not in your head anymore. You follow me? And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with your emotional body. If, like you were talking about, somebody gets loaded up or somebody bullies you or dumps on you, mm-hmm. and this lands on your emotional body, and your emotional body is all in turmoil, and you go, oh, I hate that guy, and I'm so angry, and you see, then your voice changes again, and now you're operating from your emotional body. And your emotional body is trying to clear things, and it's mad or it's hurt or whatever, you see? And so the emotional body takes over. And the same thing goes with the heart. If you're with a beloved one, or if you live with a puppy, you go, hi puppy, or oh, I love you, baby. You see, your voice changes, and then you become all heart. You see how that works? Mm-hmm. This is very, very powerful when you have all these four congruent working together as a family unit, as a team. Mm-hmm. So talking to the parts of self it's very simple, but not very many people understand how amazing it is. Let me take it one step further, okay? Okay. Each one of these parts has a higher self, okay? Mm-hmm. So there's your higher self, which you think of as your spirit or your soul, right? Your soul has a higher self and your spirit has a higher self, right? You think of this, but they do have a higher self. So you can get information about your higher self from your higher self. So it's in a little way, it's like channeling your higher self times 4. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And because you have these four energy beings, 4 colors of the spectrum, you have these 4 energy beings inside you, you can love yourself times 4. So you can increase your intelligence by 4, you can increase your sensitivity by 4, and you can increase your self-love by 4. This is kind of wild. Mm. Now, to take it to the next level, God has 4 faces. God has spirit, heart, will, and body, Mm-hmm. Like the greatest commandment, Jesus was asked one of the Pharisees or something. He says, well, what is the greatest commandment? And the rabbi goes, to love God with your whole spirit, your whole heart, with all your strength, and with all your will. Yeah, that's the 4 parts. And you can look in the Bible. God has 4 faces. But anyway, so each one of these parts of self is connected to God the Father is in your head, God the Son is in your heart, God the Mother is in your belly, and then God the Father of manifestation, which is God of form, is in your body. So when you really get deep into talking to your parts of self, it's not uncommon for the parental parts, which is the God parts, to come and talk to you. So that's that, okay? Mm-hmm. And that's the basics of what I teach.
Wow.
The 4 processes of how to heal and evolve your emotional body.
Okay. Can you give them to us again for those that are taking notes, like I am listening to you? Can you give us the four breakdowns once more to make sure I have them right? Number one is the empowerment process. Okay.
Right. And the empowerment goes, I'm empowering myself with a strong and loving intent to heal my will. Will you help me? There's
I
three
love
of
that. I just love that.
Well, the thing about it is it doesn't tell you how to do it, what you're going to do, or any of that kind of stuff. It is just a empowerment, because you don't know when you're going to heal, how you're going to heal, or what you're going to have to do. You just want to have enough power to do it when the time comes, and intent to do it. It's about self-love too. Because if mama's happy, if your will is happy, then everybody's happy. So that's why you're trying to heal the will. The will is
Well, and that's, if you can heal the will too, I'm just saying that's how people get stuck, right? Where they can't move. They feel victim because they just can't move. They can't find it within them or to change or to grow or transform because they're kind of just stuck.
Exactly. And then number two is emotion release. We talked about that a little bit. You know, that's the crying, weeping, shouting, raging, ranting, in private. You do it in private. And then you sort of reset your whole emotional, cards. You reset your whole emotional body, and then you reintegrate it. So that if you let go and go crazy in private, if you lose control in private, this is what emotion release is. You lose control in private, and then you integrate everything back in there, and then you gain control in public. So that's really important. A lot of people are just trying to suppress their emotions in public, but they don't ever release them in private. So they get this big backlog of suppression and and denial or acting out or trying to be happier than they are and all this kind of stuff. It's inauthentic.
Right. It masks everything.
It masks everything to yourself. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's empowerment, emotion release. And number three is the judgment and denial release. And I can't even tell you how important it is to do the judgment and denial release, because what you have denied, in other words, if these things are working in your subconscious, then that's what manifests. These sayings, it's my job to suffer, right? These kind of things. That's what manifests in your life. It's not what you want or will or want. It is what you deny that manifests. And to a large degree, that's what karma is. Why is this stuff happening? Why do I never get a man? Why is life so hard? Why can't I get a raise at work? And all this. Why do I have to struggle? Why is everything? You see what I'm saying? These are all judgments that we don't think about, that are operating in our subconscious, and then they manifest our reality. Why do I have breakups after breakup after breakup? Why do I go with the same guy who's a bum? And why I'm always involved with a narcissist or a psychopath? You see what I'm saying? And then they get, and that's because you have all this denied judgments of I'm only worthy of this. I can't get what I really want, so I have to settle for what I can get and stuff like that. So judgment and denial release is a big deal. Mm-hmm. And then number four, we just finished talking the parts of self: empowerments, emotion release, judgment and denial release, and talking to the parts of self. And I apologize to any future viewers that I have like 50 videos on this.
They're awesome though.
but that's what it takes, because this covers every aspect of your life. This, even though this sounds simple, life isn't simple. It's pretty messy.
It is. And for me, coming from that perspective, is that I always worked on being aware, aware of being aware. But what I like about your work is not only can you be aware, but you're giving us tools to change it instead of just being stuck on the awareness part and think you got it, but you still keep repeating patterns. That this is actually a tool that you can use to change the awareness if it's something that that is not in your highest good.
Yeah, what comes through you sticks to you, and if what comes through you is not good, then you need a way to get to release, like defrag your computer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so how long have you been doing this work, Michael?
Well, I did, the first round was in the mid 1990s. Mm-hmm. And, I developed it and I worked on myself and I said, holy crap, this stuff really works. Then I had to, kind of hit the books to try to find out why it worked. And, and I was reading all kind of books of neuro-linguistic programming and psychoneuroimmunology. And I was trying to find why all this stuff works. The power of words, how the power of words has an effect on your body. And then it has effect on your subconscious and how that whole process worked. So that was in the 90s. And then I kind of ran out of gas around 2000 because it took a lot out of me because it was like 3 lifetimes to get this wounded. and then so here I am, this like massively world-class bad self-image, and then an enlightened guy at the same time, and then an emotional wreck on top after that. So I was able to put my material together. I was able to do 3 or 4 workshops in Florida and a couple of workshops in Jamaica. And then I ran out of gas financially and I had to go back to work. So then we ended up going back to work until 2010 or something like that, 2009. So that's how long I've been doing it. And then it wasn't until, I guess, 2013 or so that I thought, well, listen, I've got all this material and nobody knows about. Mm-hmm. Nobody understands how deep this process can be. And, like, for example, I already told you to have enlightenment, but from doing this internal work, this language lesson of the heart work, I got all my memories back. Let me repeat that again. I got all my memories back, not only of every lifetime. I remember the earth cooling down. Not only do I remember the earth cooling down, I remember the Godhead. And I remember everything that went on in Godhead. I remember my own emergence, and I went further. And that was in the second creation, and I went further back to the first creation. So I remember when God first emerged out of the darkness of space, and which that and $5 will buy you a cup of coffee. But it was reassuring to know that, for example, that our discord and our troubles and traumas and wars and all the darkness that we have on the planet is completely intimately connected with the emergence of God. In other words, our issues are his issues or her issues. Mm-hmm. And it's not as bad as you think, because if you look you'll go into little astrophysics a little bit. If you look into the darkness of space, 96% of space is just dark energy and matter. It's vacuum, dark energy, right? Mm-hmm. And only 4% of that is matter, stars, galaxies. So the whole visible universe is only 4% of what is. Yeah. Mm. Now, when you have the creation of a star, which is also symbolic of the creation of a God, right? Mm. When you have that, it takes a tremendous amount of force, vast amount of force condensed down into a small space until it creates a plasma ball. And that's how you make a star. But it's also how you make a God. You create consciousness. Out of the vacuum of just the desire, the magnetic field of the mother, when the magnetic fields rub against each other over vast spaces, we're talking about giant. You can't conceive of how vast these spaces are, but when they come together and they create electric current, and that current gets condensed down to basically a soul, a mega soul like God, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's like turning on electric light bulb or turning on a giant plasma ball. The sun is a good example. Is a giant plasma ball. In other words, there's plasma all around the outside. That's where we get the light from. But light is a disturbance. Light is a disturbance in space, right? Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. If you take somebody in a pond, right, and they start slapping the water, right? Well, the ripples in the pond are a disturbance in the surface of the pond. Yeah. And it's the same thing with sound. You have air, right? And sound is a disturbance in that air. The waves go out from your mouth or from whatever sound you're making. So it's a disturbance. And light itself is a disturbance in the vacuum of space. So it's not all, but here's the thing. So again, going back to the darkness is 96%, right, and the actual matter is only 4%, right? Now, in the actual matter of which we are part of, 4% of that matter is bad, evil, nasty, horrible, painful, rape, murder, kill, right? 4% of that is. So we still live in a loving universe, but because of this disturbance of compression, of coming out of infinity into existence of matter, it's painful, right? Mm-hmm. To come into this physical body is painful. To be separated from unity is painful. So all the stuff that we see outside is part of the beginning of creation, including the relationships between God the Father and God the Mother. How, I notice in the Christian church, there's no God the Mother talked about. Other right. religions have God the Mother, but this one's, so there was his denials and all that kind of stuff. So in a roundabout way, our healing is God's final healing, which is a really cool idea. Mm-hmm. So in other words, God, if we had denial culturally, then God had denial. If we have denial, it was because God had denial first. And if his denial was perfect, he didn't even know it because he had denial. Or if he had hatred, jealousy, greed, pettiness, all this stuff that's talked about in the Old Testament, that Old Testament God. He had all that kind of stuff. However, the separation between spirit, heart, will, and body out there, but inside the God was trying to basically live in his head. And because of that, his son took a beating. The heart took a beating on earth because God's not connected to earth. Think of it that way. Mm-hmm. Because he's not connected to his deep feminine. And what's going on now, part of the awakening is we need to get the head connected to the heart, yeah. And then let that messages go to the will, which is the deep feminine, which is Mother Earth. And Mother Earth has a huge, gigantic issues right now because everybody is being heartless to the Mother Earth.
Right.
And so that if you want to know where we are spiritually, you look at the relationship between humans in general to Mother Earth, mm-hmm. whatever that relationship is, and then you look at the relationship between the man and woman, whatever that relationship is. If there's still misogyny and there's still imbalance, that's what needs to be worked on. And then you have to look at the difference between the rich and the poor. If there's still a big gap between rich and poor, that needs to be worked on because that's heartlessness. That's the people who are like these fallen angels who want to have their own Godhead and they don't give a hoot or a fuck about human beings. So there's heartlessness there, see? And the same thing with the war. So you can see where we're at on the emotional scale by the gaps between thoughts and feelings, between the man and the woman, and between the white race and the black race, and between man collectively and nature, man and the animals. So that's kind of where we are historically.
So historically, we're still caught in that victim, right? That where we have no power to change any of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Not just me. Okay, I like to blow my horn like anybody else does, but really, there are thousands of people who have hypnotic modalities that have different kind of modalities to heal your emotions, trauma modalities, there's a long list of different kind of modalities that are coming out of the woodworks now. And a lot of them are very, very good. So mine just happens to be, direct from the Godhead to earth, but it's not, by no means is it the only modality. And, like one shoe does not fit every foot. So everybody's got their own way of doing it.
Flavor, right?
Yeah, but also the other thing is, which is we're going to segue into finding your lion heart and going full collie.
Mm-hmm.
Because
we want to talk about that. We have about just 2 more minutes until we go to break, and so I think it's 5:47. It might be 5:57. Let me check here really quick. We go to break at 5:57, so we have like 12 more minutes. So do you want to go into this whole full collie thing before, or when we get back? I do have one question from one of the Facebook.
Let's take the question now.
Okay, let's find it. Let's see if I can find it back again. Where did it go? There it is. It's coming. Hang in there. It's from David Spiros, and he asked about, and I don't see it right in front of me because my whole screen just froze. I know. Let's see. Well, there's one of his. Okay, let's see if we can go back up. It just started moving again. So, this is really good, Michael. We're getting a really good response from everyone on Facebook, and I'm sure our listeners are intrigued because a lot of times when everything that you say is true, but we actually have the power within ourselves to change all of this. First,
absolutely.
we're being aware, and then we get to change it. And
if you know how it's done, it's easy.
Okay, let's hear that while I'm finding this question.
Well, that's what I was talking about. You reverse the steps of how you get wounded, and then you get unwounded. It's
right.
It's like changing the tire of a car. It's really more like housekeeping.
It is not letting me do it. So what we'll do is I'll see if I can find it later. I think his question had to do with, here it is. What do you know about Shambhala? Shambhala.
Yeah, that's a word that describes a state of being. This describes a state, and there's lots of states to be in, which is also a land. So there's Nirvana, Shambhala. There's a whole bunch of these kind of things, and and people talk about it because they've been to these realities.
Right.
And but here again, I want to emphasize this: enlightenment does not free you from your emotional turmoil.
Right.
Kundalini rising out of the top of your head, right? And where people walk by you and they pass out because you have so much energy, that does not touch your emotional state.
Right.
Near-death experience. You can die. This is what karma is. You can die and come back to earth, and you think, I got all reviewed up in heaven. That does not touch your emotional wounds. Okay. Right. So that's near, and also anything else you wanted to talk about. So ayahuasca might do it over time. I don't know. I never took ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and isn't it, it's because we have a body here in 3D, and when we get back, we'll talk about 5G, right? So you have a whole talk on
5G. 5G
too, because right now we're in 3D and we have this body that we have to filter all of this through, and it's a great thing. It's a wonderful gift. It doesn't have to be all this pain and suffering, and that's what you're here to kind of help lift all these burdens. And it's a lie we've been given, right? Or lots of lies, lots of conditioning, you name it, right? Whatever you want to look for a flavor to stop you from becoming or being
yeah, we're like, there's some people who like the term creator beings. Well, we are creator beings, but however, everybody else is a creator being. And when you have mud thrown on you your whole life, then you think you're a mud, right? Mm-hmm. So we create mud for ourselves. We create pain for ourselves. We create stuff that we don't want, loads of stuff that we don't want. Like we don't want, Trump, or we don't want, Obama, or we don't want war. But we're still, and here's the unseen role of denial. Denial is what manifests. So, we're creating our own inner world all the time, which is why we're going to talk about Kali, the destroyer of worlds, soon. Because it's good to know that you can destroy the whole goddamn world that was forced down your throat from the time you were born until, depending on how bad your aces are.
Right. So that's where we are an empowered being, that we can, totally, I'd like to have, it took me a long time in my life to have, we talked about this before the break, before we went on the air tonight, and that is having permission to destroy. That just to have that. For a while, I always thought that I had to fix things and keep things going and do the best I can, but I had never really thought about giving myself permission to destroy.
Oh yeah, it's our culture to suppress. It serves the government, it serves religion, and it serves everybody but us to suppress our feelings and not be enraged or not be, tar and feather the first politician that you run into. So we suppress. The religion wants you to suppress. Your parents want you to suppress. Society wants you to suppress. Your boss at work wants you to suppress and eat it. So we're very, very suppressed, and we don't really have any we used to have like music and dance and pubs and stuff like that we used to do. People did. They went to barn dances, or they had hootenannies or whatever it was, and the people would play music. We used to be able to express through music and dance more. We don't have that anymore. So now we have no way to express our bottled up stuff. We don't even have people used to talk to each other, and we don't do that anymore except on the internet now. So we need permission to express any way we want, as ugly as we want, until it's done.
Mm-hmm. And that was my question. There will be an end to this, right? There is an end to it.
There is an end. And what I'm talking about is there is an end of fear. For people who have anxiety, right? There's an end of fear, and then you can reach the end of rage, of anger, right? And you can reach an end of pain. And that's really what we're after, the end of pain.
Mm-hmm. And then you have a whole new, really powerful beginning.
No, you don't.
No?
No.
What do you have?
You have nothing.
First nothing?
This is why it's sort of a hard sell. Because if you think you're going to try to get love and happiness and truth and bliss, you're going the wrong way. What you're going to get is nothing. When you end pain, there's nothing left. There is no happiness, no joy, no satisfaction. It is nothing. But this nothing is the kind of nothing that contains everything. This is the nothing you want.
Okay. There's freedom. It would be freedom?
It's not even freedom. This is the nothing that has nothing in it. And if you have freedom, then that means you don't have freedom. If you have happiness, that means there's the sadness. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing in this. And that's really what you want. You want nothing. But because we have pain and suffering, we want this or that, or we have these conditions that we want to place on it. But really to feel nothing, when you've been feeling pain all your life, it is sufficient. It's enough. You don't have to slap on there, a cheesecake. You don't need anything.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it liberation. It's a liberation of not needing. You don't need to be happy. You don't need to be angry. You don't need to be sad. You don't need to be joyful. You don't need to be creative. You see what I'm saying? It's nothing. Mm-hmm. You just be you.
Mm-hmm. And there's I would think more of a connection there, like with source, with, expansion there, I would think.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Source is pure energy, and energy has a feeling to it. So if you say, I want to be happy or I want to be successful, you've already modified that energy and you separated yourself from it. So it's better to feel nothing than it is to say, I want to be creative or I want to be this or that. If you want to be creative, just start painting or start doing your thing. It's not something that it's not like a state that you put out in front of you like a carrot in front of a horse.
Right. Because then that's a trap too, right?
You just do what you feel because your emotional body will be in good shape and you will feel what you want to do. You'll be congruent because your spirit, heart, will, and body are in alignment. So whatever it is you want and will and wish to do, just do it.
So it's more of an intuitive way too, in a way.
Absolutely intuitive.
Yeah.
Your deep feminine, your emotional body is your intuition.
Yeah. That's pretty exciting stuff.
Know this, before we go, are we on break yet? Or
we have 2 minutes. And then we go to break until 6:04.
Know this is a good one. Know this one. Consciousness is this. The universe is filled with energy, right? Mm-hmm. The feeling of the energy is what consciousness is. When you feel energy is what consciousness is.
Oh.
And when you increase the energy, you increase your consciousness. Or when you increase your consciousness, you increase your energy.
Uh-huh.
And mind is the maker of the patterns of the energy. So the words and the ideas of what it is, that's from the mind. So whenever you do emotion release, you are increasing your energy, and this increases your consciousness and increases your power. And that's exactly what evolution is. That's what everybody's talking about. They want to evolve and awaken and all this kind of stuff. That's what it is. This is the nuts and bolts of how it's done.
I love it. I love that. Well, okay. Well, stay tuned, everyone. We will be back, and we're going to be talking about, we'll continue to talk with Michael about Kali. I'm excited about that, and we've been discussing finding your lion heart, and then we're going to go full Kali after the break. So stay tuned. We'll be back at 6:04. Okay?
Wadiya will remain a dictatorship. Or be quiet. Why are you guys so anti-dictators? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for healthcare and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prisons with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time for Liberation Nation with Deacon John, where America comes to hear the truth.
I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
Ohio Exopolitics will be on from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Studio A. Mark Schneider will have guests on that will discuss many important topics, including the state of the world today. However, much of the show will be dedicated to the writings of Edward Albert Meyer. Let me read a short passage from one of his writings. Love is the highest principle of creation, and through it, everything exists in absolute logic. All of nature in its indescribable splendor is nothing but the love of creation, which is expressed visibly. The love of creation is everywhere, because without it, nothing at all would be able to exist. Please join Mark on Ohio Exopolitics from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Studio A.
It is no secret that the so-called mainstream media is best described as controlled propaganda. Countless news stories are either totally ignored or spun with half-truths, and because of this, essential facts and vital information are often compromised. Join Dr. Ott every Friday night on Studio B at 10 p.m. Eastern and learn why The Story Behind the Story was nominated for a Peabody Award in its second year of producing unparalleled broadcasting excellence in 1997. That is, if you really care about learning the truth.
Transcending time and space, let us take you to the place inside your mind where thoughts divide and mysteries unwind. Join us every Monday evening right here on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And you will catch the Fenton Perspective with our great host, Lorian Fenton. Come listen in as she shares her amazing stories from the past to present, along with all of her guest secrets to the future. That's the Fenton Perspective every Monday evening right here from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Revolution Radio. Oh, and you don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
The opinions expressed on this radio station, its programs, and its website by the hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Revolution Radio and freedomslips.com, its staff, or affiliates. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host. Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
Welcome back to the Cosmic Oracle Show, and this is your host, Barbara Jean Lindsey. And we want to thank you for your generosity in keeping us on the air at Revolution Radio. And all you have to do is go to revolutionradio.com and you'll find a donate button there, and just give whatever you can, $1, $5, $10, and know that 100% of your donation goes directly to the station. So thanks for your generosity in advance to keeping Revolution Radio on the air. And know that you, the listeners, are a major part of our continued success at getting the truth out. And we have our second part of the show today with MICHAEL HARRELL is our guest. And I've been finding it very fascinating and learning a lot myself. And I know we all are truth seekers, a lot that come to the show. And it's nice to hear another like a petal to the flower, shall we say, of knowledge that we've received over the years. And so, welcome back, Michael.
Hi, everybody.
And so I do have a question. If we could start with the question, Michael, from one of the viewers would be great. It's from Allison Thompson. And she says, but don't we come here to feel things or feel something? Sounds like non-attachment. Sounds like floating through life with no feelings, unless is she misunderstanding what you're saying?
Well, that's sort of like the love and light thing, think and grow rich and, look on the bright side. That's to float through life without feeling and it's a sort of spiritual bypass. But emotion release is absolutely to feel fully what you're already feeling, to feel your pain and to take back the separation between thoughts and feelings where your feeling body is doing one thing and your thoughts are doing another. So it is reconnecting to your feelings fully until they end. I'm talking about the end of pain. And that doesn't mean pain won't still happen in your life, but the past, pain from the past that is recurring, sometimes generational through the family lines and through your family and onto your kids, that pain ends and that pain doesn't get carried over. And your karma, what they call your shadow, that stops, right? So then you can live like a normal life. But because you've gone to the end of your pain, nothing else will ever touch you at that level again. And when you embrace your pain, that is the beginning of compassion. When you embrace fully all the pain that you've got, then that is your compassion, right? And then you'll be able to see your pain in other people, and then you can have compassion for them. And compassion is a feeling of connectedness, not disconnected. Your connectedness with love and acceptance and wanting to help. So this is, when I talked about nothing, I'm talking about the end of pain. And, it's sort of like the end of fear. People who have conquered their fear doesn't mean they don't get afraid, but they're not overruled by their fears anymore. They don't have anxiety. They don't have panic attacks. They don't have fear driving them. What would people think and all that kind of stuff, though they've conquered their, that doesn't mean that they're not feeling, but that those feelings do not, have the weight that they had when they were suppressed. Because when you suppress, it goes into denial, and denial is what manifests. That's what the shadow work is all about. When you see your shadow coming at you in the external world, it is your suppressed emotions on your internal world, which is the 5D world. I don't know. Do you think like I answered that enough?
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. Allison, let us know what you think. She's still here. So, we'll get a response from her, I'm sure. So am I hearing it right that once you're kind of making a new relationship with yourself and the world, or yourself and your perspective of the world, and so then you have more freedom to create what you want more, or am I lost in that somehow?
Well, you're not wanting out of pain. That's a big difference, but there's a difference between wanting out of pain. So if you're suffering, you want to end your suffering. You want, a beautiful vacation in the Bahamas with a drink, or you want the beautiful girl, or you want the big money, or whatever it is. These are all in relationship to your pain. But when your pain it changes your wants. So you don't have to have like a big yacht, and you don't have to suppress people. You don't have to make a lot of money. You don't have to be a executive. You can just be a normal person. Normal is pretty good.
It is. And so you're just pulling the Band-Aid off, right? Just pull that off and take a look at what's real, right?
Yeah, what's real. And that's where your power is, because the power to suppress is what suppresses your best. So the best feelings you have are tied up in the suppression of the worst feelings you have. It's like they say, no mud, no lotus, right? You want the lotus. but you're not afraid. You're afraid to go into the mud, right? So when you go into the mud and you stir it up and start clarifying it, then the lotus blooms, and that's the way our natural state is, unsuppressed. Think of it this way. When we were born, we were the most alive that we've ever been. We were born alive, fully feeling everything, sensing everything, but we had no words, no language. We were just all feeling, right? And as a result, the things that happened to us like hunger and sleepiness and poopy pants and all that kind of stuff, each one of these things made us cry. If we were left alone, we would cry, right? And we would cry a lot. They hook up little electrodes to babies and they find out that human beings as adults cannot reach the level of emotional intensity of a child. Now, as we grow up, we slowly grow out of that crying business because our mom says, no, don't cry, baby. I love you. There's nothing to cry about. It's all right. Mommy's here. Don't cry. There's no reason to cry. See, we just load them up and we do that for 3 or 4 years until we find that babies don't cry, baby. Right? And then we stop crying. We get the message that we're not supposed to cry. And it is at this point when we suppress the feelings of wanting to cry in anger or rage or terror or hurt or hunger or physical pain. When we suppress that, that's when we start being encultured and we start dying. In other words, the emotional vibrancy is life. And let me ask you this. How much does a dead person feel?
Absolutely
right? They don't feel anything. So the more vibrational, emotional, vibrational sensitivity you have, the more life you have. And when you suppress it, it gets less and less and less. And as you watch old people get older, they feel less and feel less and feel less until they stop feeling, and they're just laying on the bed waiting to die. You see? So the vibrational frequency of life itself is life itself. And so the more vibrational frequency you have more life. As Christ once said, I come to give you life more abundantly. So the more abundant you are with your emotional body, the more abundant your life is. And that's sufficient in itself. It doesn't have to be more walking in the park or more petting the dog or more loving the kids. It doesn't have to be that. It's just life more abundantly. And whatever you do with it is fine.
But at least you have a choice, right?
At least you have a choice, and you're not shackled to suppression of pain and the panic of, oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great answer. So would you like to go on then? Should we talk about what would you like to go next? Do you want to go to 5G, or do you want to talk about going full Kali? Should we talk about being invincible?
Let's talk about ACEs first. ACEs is adverse childhood experiences.
Okay, let's say that again, please. ACEs. I'm going to write it.
ACES. ACEs. Adverse childhood experiences.
Okay. Childhood. And if someone wanted to call in and we could do a session on them, would you want to do that, Michael, or do you have time to do that?
Not today. We're giving out information today. A process, I have 50 videos on process.
Okay.
And that's free on YouTube and they can go for it. And that's what that's the way I set it up so that I don't have to continue to do process one-on-one. I do process one-on-one with people. Friends and stuff, but I'm not a life coach. That's not my thing. I don't do the life coach analyzing and working people's stuff out.
Okay.
I give you the tools to clean your house, and then you can clean your house at your own leisure.
I love that. Okay. And so it's adverse childhood
experiences, right?
Experiences. And I do want to say, on your YouTube, because I started doing them, I didn't finish them, but I did start the process over a year ago, and I hear them, like you said, every once in a while. I use them. But what is that YouTube channel? You gave it to me before the show, and somewhere I lost it. So that
it's just Mike Harrell on YouTube. That's it. Michael Harrell, Harrell.
Okay, great.
And
Okay.
and the playlist is Language Lessons of the Heart. So if you type in Language Lessons of the Heart, it'll come up with one of my videos.
Okay, great. Okay, let's begin then.
So ACEs, I want to talk about adverse childhood experiences. And this is a study that was done by doctors who are trying to figure out why some people have more physical health problems than other people. And what they found out is, long story about ACEs, but what they found out is when you have adverse childhood experiences, it can cut your life expectancy by 10 years. Okay?
Oh,
And I have 10 of them here. Let me read the list.
okay.
Number 1, parents are divorced or separated.
Oh,
Okay?
shoot.
Number 2, physical abuse. Number 3, physical neglect. Number 4, emotional abuse. Number 5, emotional neglect. Number 6 is sexual abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7, witnessed domestic violence in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, substance abuse in the house. Alcoholics, drugs, pharmaceuticals, substance abuse. Number 9, having a mentally ill person in the house. And number 10, a family member in prison. Okay,
Wow.
here's the, I can read this again if you want. But if you have 2 of these or more, right? If you have 2 of these or more, then that will cut your life expectancy down by 10 years. And if you have 4 of these or more, it cuts your life expectancy of your physical body by 20 years.
Oh my God.
So when I talk about doing emotional healing work, this is like a big goddamn deal. There's a reason why I'm bringing this ACEs up, okay? If you want me to read them again so people can check them off.
I think it's good. I mean, I probably shouldn't even be here, okay? Because I can check off most of those. So maybe that's why I had a near-death experience, because I needed to be totally rebooted or something.
Well, your near-death experience took a lot of pressure off of you. I can guarantee you that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that's why that's why you're doing this Cosmic Oracle show, and that's why you're interested in healing, and people are doing, the ET stuff and the Sasquatch stuff and
service
to others. And okay, so that's all part of your healing.
Mm-hmm. I love it. So I just put your YouTube channel link on the Facebook page. So, okay, let's hear that again, Michael.
Okay, so everybody listen up, and I'm just going to read this list. And if you have, like I said, if you have 2 or more, this cuts down to, because this opens your body up to heart attacks. It opens up your body to cancer. It opens up your body to, like I said already, this bursitis, arthritis. It opens your body up to immune deficiency diseases. It opens your body up to all these kind of diseases that people get because it's long-term emotional drop in energy and suppression of energy. So, okay, number 1, like I said, keep track of how many of these you have.
Okay.
Parents divorced or separated. Number 2, physical abuse. Number 3, physical neglect. Number 4, emotional abuse. Number 5, emotional neglect. Number 6, sexual abuse. Number 7, witnessed domestic violence in the house. Number 8 is substance abuse in the house. So that means alcohol, drugs, any kind of, pharmaceutical stuff, the doctors, mother's little helpers, substance abuse in the house. Number 9 is if one or more of your family members has actual mental illnesses in your household. And number 10, if a family member is in prison. Prison is a pretty good symptom of emotional abuse and emotional neglect.
Okay, well, I got 7. So
yeah, and you're not. And listen, this thing is not just. It's just not black people or white people, rich people or poor people, smart people, dumb people. It is everybody. This affects everybody. It happens in rich families, poor families, educated families, uneducated families. It happens to everybody to some degree or others. There's very few people who have less than 2 of them. So I'm setting the scenes as to just wake up. Just because you're numb to what's going on inside of you and you're kind of living like what I call a functional cripple, you're living your life. You may be crippled, but you're still getting along pretty good in your wheelchair, or your walker, and you're still paying the bills and taking care of the car payments and the insurance and all of that stuff is taken care of, but you still have this big, paralyzed part of yourself.
Yeah, like a sadness, almost like a sadness.
Sadness, regret, grieving, all that stuff, unworthiness. So now we're going to talk about we have resistance. We have resistance to doing all out, full blown emotional release work.
Why is that?
Because we're told not to. Girls aren't supposed to cry. Girls are supposed to be happy all the time. Girls are supposed to be sweet. Boys aren't supposed to be cry. Boys are supposed to be tough and hard. And, I don't want to hear that out of you. And if you cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about. And then the other thing is, spare the rod and spoil the child. If you cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about. I'll beat you more. And some people are beaten. So we learn to suppress our feelings, the tender ones. So when we get hurt, and listen, what happens when we hear about people committing suicide in elementary school, high school, right? Is because they're being bullied and then they suppress their feelings and they have nowhere to release it. They don't know how to release it. And and that creates their world. Mm-hmm. And their world is so horrible that they feel like the only way out for them is to kill themselves. Okay. This is how bad suppression is. People would rather kill themselves in this world. Suicide, either by drugs or violence or something like that. They'd rather kill themselves than face their feelings. That's how bad it is. And yet, when you feel your feelings, you get better. Surprise, surprise. It is the fear of that. I'm going to be judged. I'm going to be hurt. I'm going to be kicked out of the house. I'm going to die. I'm going to be kicked out of my religion. Or whatever, I'm going to be abandoned. I'm going to be, so all that stuff is real to human beings. So we put on the fake facade and we carry on with our life, tough it out, or
fight it out or kill it out
or we try to be super nice to everybody and we become a fake nice person. You ever seen those fake nice people? They're just nice all the time, and it drives you nuts.
Yeah, I was that way for a long time. I have to say that I was. I'm still kind of, that's my nature, but for a long time I was, because I thought that's what was expected of me. I was being a good person, Yeah,
and you're going to get love by being nice.
But not an authentic person,
Yeah. So the whole idea is to have a full range of emotions available to you when you need them. Mm-hmm. You need grief when it's time to grieve. You need fear when it's time to be fear, and you need anger when it's time to be anger, and you need to be able to feel joy and happiness when it's time to feel joy and happiness. And this is the part about suppression, because when you suppress one, let's say you're suppressing your fear. Well, if you suppress your fear, you suppress your anger, and you suppress your happiness and your joy, and you're suppressing your grief. So suppression it's not specific. It's just across the board. Suppress one feeling, you suppress them all. And when we get back to what I was saying is, your feelings are your life force. And when you suppress your life force, you begin to die. You slow down. Things become mundane and hard or routine or unliving. It's life not worth living.
No. You're like numb, right?
Numb, exactly. Numb is a symptom of suppressed emotions.
And I don't want to have that. I want to be vitally alive. Okay?
Hey, me too.
I want to feel it.
I want to feel the sun on my face and go, wow, that's amazing. Okay, then we get to so what to do? Now we have, I showed you that with the ACEs, that everybody's, loads and loads and loads of people have these issues, and it's going to definitely cut 10 years off your life. It's pretty much done. The science is done. You can look it up. Okay, so there's the ACEs. Everybody's got a certain amount of getting beat up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's because of their suppression. Okay. And then we suppressed all these feelings. Okay. So what to do? And like I said, I have these 4 processes, the empowerment process and then the emotional release process. Mm-hmm. The hardest thing to break through, the real engine to drive healing and evolving your emotional body is emotional release. That's the motor. But it is also the most suppressed thing in a society. Societies don't run good on people who are wild in their emotions. So suppression is built into the religion, it's built into the government, it's built into the law system. It's everything's about suppression, suppress everything. Mm-hmm. A good slave is totally suppressed, you see. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when I tell people in my videos, look, you do your emotional release work. You can do it by doing breath work. You can do it by doing a trance dance. You can do it by just standing and screaming. You can just go into your feelings and doing primal scream. You want to do primal scream. And, but that because there's no receptive centers in our head. So what to do? I came up with this thing called finding your lion heart. And finding your lion heart.
I love this. Okay. We need a drum roll because it's pretty exciting.
It's pretty exciting, yeah, because it gives you permission to have your feelings. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really good. First, let me talk about your heart. Okay, most language lessons of the heart system really works off the 11 chakra system because you have the chakras in your hand and feet. Okay, So think of your heart chakra. Your left hand is your fear and your right hand is your anger. And these are extensions of your heart, so your heart is a very big thing and so fear takes you out of danger and into safety. See how that fear is a part of love because it's loving to take you out of danger to a place of safety. So fear is a natural part of heart, big part, right? Mm-hmm. It's kept you from running stop signs your whole life.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because like you go to a stop sign and say, well, I can't run that stop sign because maybe I'll get killed. And that little bit of fear right there, you see how it goes?
Yeah.
Okay. And then anger. Anger is based on pain is it stops people from hurting you. I'll be angry. If you step on my foot twice, I'm going to be angry at you and I might punch your lights out because you're hurting me. So anger says, stop hurting me. I will not allow you to hurt me. And this is also self-love. This is also love, to not let yourself be hurt. I'm angry at you because you hurt me, or I'm angry at you because you keep trying to hurt me. So fear and anger are in the spectrum of love. This is so important. So you want to vibrate your fear is to also vibrate your heart and expand your heart. To vibrate your anger is to vibrate your heart and expand your heart. That's the principle.
Okay.
Now, when we were hurt as a child, they were gigantic. It was like the Titanic sinking. It was like a mountain falling on you. These horrible things happened to you. So in our emotional connection to our pain seems like it's this big, massive thing. It's this dark hole that's going to engulf us, and we're going to have to relive this stuff again, and it's all going to be terrible. That's because we don't have our heart expanded big enough. You need to have a big heart to embrace your big pain. And this is what finding your lion heart is all about. It's about creating a big heart that can embrace your big pain, which turns out to be the pain of a child, the pain of youth, the pain of innocence lost. Yeah. And it's not that big after all. But the fear is that it's going to be big and I have to relive it again. I'm going to have to be raped again. I'm going to have to be neglected again, abused again. That's not really what happens.
Well, and there's no fun in that. Okay. We're taught to be entertained, and we're talking, where there's to do that it takes some courage too, doesn't it?
It takes great courage to overcome that fear of, because when we were little, our parents were like 4 times bigger than we were. And then when they did something, there's no chance we could fight it or do anything about it. We just pretty much had to take it.
Right. We had no power.
We had no power. So there's a powerlessness there and hopelessness there and a fear there. But now we're big. We forgot how big we are. We're big, massive people. We drive cars and pay mortgages and stuff. We're big. But we forget because we still have the emotional intelligence of a child.
Wow.
Okay, so that's how finding the lion heart came about. And the way I package it is it's like to get you started, to break the ice, to get you started is you imagine that you're an actor and you're given this scene to practice, right? You want to practice this scene, and the scene is a dog is going to bite you or a monster is going to get you or whatever it is. So, what the directors want is to have you to go fully into your fear and fully into your terror, right? This is the scene.
Okay.
And this is acting class. So you're acting. You want to act as authentic as you can.
So our listeners can do this now as you're talking about it?
If they want to, they can go into it. But I'm going to say it a few times. So the scene is, you're standing in your living room or you're standing out in the park and you want to go into your feelings, right? So you do it as an acting class. This is just so you can act the part of somebody who's being attacked by a dog. And if you've ever been attacked by a dog or barked at or really scared by a dog, you get this whole rush in your whole body. And that rush is terror, that shock of, that's what you want. You want that feeling.
Okay.
And this is on the fear side. So you go from fear into terror for a little while, then back into fear, then back into terror. So this vibrates your terror out, your feelings of fear out because of the imaginary dog. Okay.
Right.
And again, it's acting class, so you want to try to do it as authentic as you can. You want to make it real. Okay, then you find like a stick or a pipe or something, and you get angry at the dog because you got to defend yourself. It's like a life or death, right? So you grab this imaginary pipe or stick, and you start to beat the dog, and you beat the dog away. Yeah. Now, so this is just in the first scene, right?
Okay.
Now, after the dog has run away, you have this much bigger anger because you just beat the living bejesus out of that dog and scared it away, and you have much bigger terror. So now your heart is bigger because you went into your terror and you went into your rage. So you have this very big, powerful lion heart, right? And you take that lion heart and you go down into your emotional body. The little child within that was afraid of the dog, the little child that wasn't protected, that was vulnerable. You see, you go in there and you embrace that. You give comfort to that and allow it to cry and moan and allow it to be scared and tremble and all the kind of stuff that your emotional body does, because it's afraid. Yeah. Okay. So you have the big lion heart and you go down to your belly, basically your belly region, and you comfort whatever those feelings are that want to come up, scared or whatever it is. And then after that bounces out and that feeling in your belly starts to feather down and slow down and it becomes okay, you're normal again. Then you go back up through your heart, up to the top of your head, and you kind of give yourself a little happy dance. Yay, we did it. We fought the dog. We won, right? So this...
It's an important part. I think we forget that part is the happy dance part.
The happy dance is a big deal. Yeah. So this gives you the 4, I call this dying on the cross.
Okay.
Okay. Because, when we're going to go to the next level next one, but I just want to throw this in there. So if you could feel your fear and the terror, then you come to the end of fear. Your fear dies. If you can go rage, you can go anger into rage, into blind rage, you reach a point where your anger dies. Yeah. And when you have these great powers of anger and of blind rage and terror, and those are available to you, and you go down and embrace your deepest pain until your pain ends. Your pain actually dies. It stops. It becomes nothing. It's finished. Yeah. Yeah. And then you go back up to the greatest victory of your life. Okay.
To get to reclaim your energy, reclaim who you are.
Yeah. Okay. So we've done that little acting class, the first scene. Okay. Now the director goes, well, I want you to take it a little bit deeper. In this scene, you're the actor and you have a child, right? It's either your inner child, imaginary inner child, or your own personal child, a baby, or, some child you're in charge of. This time you have a bigger dog, right? And this dog is a big, vicious police dog or something, and it's just going to tear you apart. And then you go into your fear, you go into your terror. You really want to feel that big terror. And it's not only terror for you, but it's terror because that dog wants to get at the child. Right. And so you have to stand between, and you're afraid to stand between the dog and the child, but you have to do it, right? Mm-hmm. So you have this fear and this terror, and you have to face the fear, face the dog. And then you get mad. Then you let your anger and your rage come over. And then you can take a big club or a big giant weapon. Mm-hmm. And then you literally beat the dog and you kill the dog, because in this scenario, it's life or death. You have to kill the dog or the dog's going to kill you or the child. Okay. And then you actually kill the dog in your imagination. Right? Mm-hmm. So here you want to feel all the feelings that it would take to have blind rage that I will not let you kill me. I will not let you hurt my child. I will not let you, you know what I mean? Right. Okay.
Get your power back.
Which gets your power back, exactly. Because to a child, a lot of the things that happens to them is life or death. If a child is left alone in their crib, that's a life or death situation for them. Because they don't know if you're ever coming back, and then they panic into, I'm going to die here in this crib if somebody doesn't pick me up. It's life or death. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. We don't think of it that way, but it is. Okay, so then you go up to your happy dance. Yay, victory, victory, we won. And then you go embrace the child. You embrace the child. I saved you. It's nobody, and you have compassion. This is the beginning of your compassion, is you save the child and you say, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to be there for you, and all those kind of feelings of real compassion that you would have for your own inner child or your own physical child, of protection and love. You see, so this whole thing is about love, really. And then, like I said, you go up and you do your little victory dance. We won against the monster. We won against the bad wolf or the bad dog. Okay, so that's the second round. Now the third round, you want to take the acting class to something that's real for you. It's got to be real for you for it to be authentic. So you go to one of your abusers, whoever abused you. Somebody raped you, somebody neglected you, somebody abandoned you, somebody hurt you, somebody judged you, somebody shamed you, somebody made you feel guilty, somebody made you feel responsible, somebody did injustice to you. You see, so we have these people in our life. Sure. They're called archetypes. So you find one of those, and what you want to do is find one that's perhaps your deepest wound. Whoever hurt you the most. It could have been a narcissist relationship. It could have been whatever hurt you the worst. Usually it's in the childhood, but it doesn't have to be limited to that. Mm-hmm. So then you go through the same process with a living being, like a parent or a bully or the husband or wife or whoever it is, or the boss or whoever it is that really hurt you in the past. And you do the same process. You feel your fear of them. You feel the fear of being hurt, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe you don't even have any fear. You just go right into rage. Mm-hmm. You had no right to say this to me. You're screaming. You have no right to me. And your body temperature rises and I'll hurt you. I'll kill you. I'll chop off your head. You just get into this frantic kind of a rage. Mm-hmm. And then you actually kill the person, mm-hmm. In your imagination, you burn them alive, right? Mm-hmm. You chop off their head, right? Mm-hmm. And then, or however different ways you want to electrocute them, all this terrible stuff that you want to do, you want to pour that stuff out into the rage, because they hurt you already. You see what I'm saying? You already are been hurt by this person, and they had no right to do that to you. Now, this is all going on in 5D in your imagination and in your emotional body. It has nothing to do with physical reality. It has nothing to do with that person, your parent. Nothing to do with that. This is about clearing your 5D inner world.
Right.
Okay, so then you kill them. But that's not enough because they hurt you to the bone. So you're still angry with them. So you want to kill their mother, their father, their church, their country, their town. You just blow it all up because I don't want that world that you impressed on me. I don't want that world. I'm going to blow up your world. I'm going to blow up the nation. And then eventually I'm going to blow up the whole world. Okay. That's kind of the feeling behind it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now now you just took it to another level, right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what you do is then you take that amount of like, I just destroyed this world. And then you go into your own pain. But you're not going in as like what do you call it? You're not going in your own pain as just a normal person. You've just destroyed the world that caused you pain.
Right.
You destroyed the world that caused you pain. Yeah. And has caused you pain for 10, 20, 50 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then you go in and you embrace your pain and you hold on to your pain and you allow it to moan and grieve and shudder and all the things that you do when you're in your deepest wound, right? You just, however it comes. It could be wailing. It could be ranting and whatever the feeling of that pain is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, while you're in there, this is really, really important. While you're in there, it is only your pain and you never feel beyond your pain. This is a good point to know. You don't feel the pain of other people. You feel only your pain. And your pain and you've already felt your pain. Mm-hmm. It's nothing new. This is feeling your old pain. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now nested into your pain is the pain of your parents, is the pain of your abuser, is the pain of your society, is the pain of your country, is the pain of this world. Right. It is in your pain, but we can't get to that level of authenticity until we can go into our deepest pain. And then when you get into your deepest pain, you see that your pain is connected to everybody's pain. And this is a really powerful thing. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because that's the beginning of consciousness. Because when you have that level of authenticity and that level of power, then you can feel all the pain of your family and your family history, going back generations, sure. You know, and then it ends. This is important. You've ended your pain. This also ends as the pain of that world that was created by you, and it's the pain of your parents and the pain of your ancestors. It ends that. It's the end of pain. Mm-hmm. And then you do your happy dance, yay, and all that kind of stuff. But this takes time, and you may not be able to get it all in like 1 or 2 little 5-minute sessions. You got to need to do this over enough so that you can really wring all it's the end of pain that you're going for. Right. And it's with respect to your body too, because you're taking this all through your body. It's not just in your mind, your body's with you. I love that part of it. Yeah, and you reset. You have the fight or flight. You reset the fight or flight. If you're an angry person all the time, then you're in fight. If you're anxious and anxiety person, then you're all the time in flight. Wow. Right? You're all the time fear. So this resets the clock. Hmm. So, when you feel the anger and the fear, both, they cancel each other out, and you feel your pain, and then it cancels that out, and then you go to the joy, it cancels that out. It resets the whole clock, and you go back to normal, which is pretty powerful, except it's a new normal because it's a normal that has a whole potload of pain that you no longer have to feel subconsciously or suppress subconsciously. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was the third level. Third leg. And the fourth leg is Kali, going full Kali. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the reason why we have a Kali, is because of this exercise. Can you talk briefly what your interpretation of Kali is for our people who are I have some new people here that this is all new to them, so. Kali, we're in the age of Kali Yuga, and the end of Kali Yuga is the dark age. The end of Kali Yuga is in 2025, which is why things are so way wild and woolly now. It's because we're at the end of the dark age. But Kali is a manifestation of Durga. She's a goddess. And so Durga is the most loving mother god, and she's married to Shiva, who's like the destroyer of worlds also, which is kind of interesting. The Hindus have a lot of destroyers of worlds. But anyway, Durga is the most loving mother kind of, but she's also powerful. She fights demons. The Hindus understood that whenever you have trouble and strife, that what gets stuck to you, pain, right, becomes a demon, because it is you carry the image of your abuser with you in a little movie set. Except, like I said, it's automatic, subconscious, nonverbal, and invisible. But when you go into your emotions, it becomes visible. All of a sudden you see there's that person there. But instead of being the actual person on the outside, it's an internal demon. This is why they fight demons. So Kali is a demon fighter. So the story goes that Shiva was to fight these demons that were pestering mankind, and he couldn't get the job done. And Durga, whose job it was, the mother protector, she was right in on a lion, right in on a tiger. She was like really bad. And she fought the demons, and she couldn't do it, right? She couldn't finish and actually kill all the demons. And when she saw that she couldn't kill all the demons, she got into a rage, and then out of her third eye, she projected Kali. So Kali's coming out of this is to let you know that Kali is a fifth dimensional, right? It is imaginary. It comes out of your consciousness. Kali comes out of your third eye, and she has all the power of creation at her. And then she's the one who goes into the blind rage, and she becomes a destroyer of worlds. So she destroys the demon horde. She destroys the demon army. She destroys all the brothers and sisters of the demon family, and the head demon. And she cuts them off, cuts off their head, and she drinks the blood. And the blood is our emotions. The blood that she drinks from the demon's head is the emotions that have been abused, and she takes them back into herself. Wow. And this is basically what we're doing here. You're taking the emotions back into yourself. And antipathy is in the nerve, and sympathy is in the blood. So compassion is in the blood. So this is what she's saying. I'm going to take you back into me. All the part of your essence that was forced to become a demon, to hold the energy of the pattern of pain of your life. You see, it's your essence that's used to project that demon onto yourself. So you want to pull your energy out of the demon realm and into your, balanced, loving nature.
Wow. Phew.
Phew. So the fourth round is fourth round with Kali, and she's by the way, she's black, and she has stars in her body. In other words, what she's symbolic of is the raw physical power of the universe herself.
Wow.
And her aspect is of time, meaning that time devours everything. So she's this badass, right? And so the demon, which is temporary, right? Something happened when we were 10 years old. Well, that formed a demon, but that is in time, and she's beyond time, so she can kill that demon because she's the goddess of time and space. Okay, so that's really powerful. It's good to have this archetype inside of you, to have this the most compassionate, wild woman who will right every wrong and kill every demon. So that's what Kali's all about. And since we're in the age of Kali Yuga and nobody's doing any Kali Yoga, I thought I might teach it a little bit. So
we have like 7 minutes, so you know, okay?
7 minutes to the end of time? Okay, so here's that last round is you do the same thing. You face the people who have hurt you and your deepest wound. right? And then like I said, you go through the same steps, the fear and the anger, and let the anger turn into rage, and then let it turn into the Kali kind of rage, where you kill them, you burn them, you slice them up, you pound them to pieces, you drop an atom bomb on them, you start World War III on them, you blaze everything you can think of to destroy that demon image in your consciousness. And then you destroy their world, you destroy their land, their country, you destroy the whole world, and you destroy the God who created that world. You destroy the God that created the world, which is basically your subconscious is what created the world. So you're telling your subconscious, I don't want this demon. I will not longer take this. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's very powerful imagery that you're giving to your soul. It's actually soul healing. So, and then you do your same thing with you embrace your pain but you're embracing your pain not as a victim or a rescuer. You're embracing your pain as a destroyer of the world. You are massive. You are powerful. You're beyond anybody ever hurting you ever again. And that's kind of a nice feeling to have your power back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to have all of your feelings available to you. You have your joy and bliss and happiness and all that kind of stuff. That's available. Your fear and terror is available. Your rage and your anger and rage is available, and all your suffering and sadness and wounds and all that stuff is available to you. And this makes you a badass.
It does. And you're like so vital, right? You're like being
vital. Yeah. And normal.
Which is normal, right?
The other thing is, this is scriptures. Christ said, I didn't come for peace. I came to bring the sword. I came to pit the mother against the mother against the daughter, and the father against the son, and the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law. I came for that. He came for the fight. And the Kali is a scripture in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is all about a war that's going on. It's a demon war, okay? And then the Ramayana is about a demon war. So this has been around for a long time. This fighting the demons on the inside has been around from scriptures from day one, and that's how I'm going to leave it.
Wow, so it's historic.
Yeah, big news. And fun too if you get into it.
Yeah, I'm going to try it again. I tried it when I first met you about a year ago, and I did some of that, and I just happened to run into it on your Facebook when I saw your YouTube, and I did it, and I felt so much better. And so I thought I just really wanted to share this with our listeners today, that they too can, become Kali and slay those demons and
and you don't have to stop there, because we all have issues with the government, with taxation, with laws. You can kill them too. You have the injustice in the world with poverty and people sleeping on the street. You can kill them. You can kill all the people who cause that stuff, and the greedy politicians and greedy bankers and all that kind of. You kill them all. It's okay. It doesn't hurt anything to kill them all and erase your world from that.
Right.
But your world will no longer be influenced by those demonic forces that we call society.
Right. And so it does free you up, right?
It does free you up.
Frees you.
It makes you a badass. You're no longer a victim. It's impossible to be a victim to someone who's just killed gods and destroyed worlds. You're not really in the category of victim anymore.
It's true. Sarah Myers says slay with explanation points. So she's really loving what you're saying. And she says she's going to invoke Kali as her archetype today. So well, there you go. Well,
go, Sarah.
Thank you so much.
Hello. I'm just getting my my speakerphone set up here, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I like fairies and gnomes, and I like Sasquatch people and invisible people. I like spirits. I like the angels, and well, listen, let me give you a clue. Gods visit gods.
I love that.
Gods visit gods. Once you become destroyer of worlds and destroyer of God, then you're like open for business with the spirit world, and they're going to come with you with respect.
That's very true. Very, very true. Very well said. Wow. So we found our lion heart today.
We found our lion heart. Yay!
Woo-hoo! And we went full collie, and I liked when you said when you save your child, that is a compassionate act.
Yeah, this is compassion because listen, if you destroy your mother's world, right? You're destroying your world is a relationship to her. The world that she created for you, if it was suppressing or bad or guilt, right? Well, you get rid of all that guilt, the shame, the judgments, right? You free your own world up. But when you destroy her world, you're actually destroying the connection that she has with the shame and sadness she feels for having screwed you up. So you're destroying her world too. So that you're starting not only with your slate clean, but you clean her slate too. So you're not going to look at her as like this abuser anymore. It's clean. And she needs that clean slate to be able to move on in her life. So she doesn't have to feel like, I was, and justify that she had reasons, that she did the best she could and this is the way you did it and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff will be gone for her too. So this is an act of compassion against your abuser. As well.
Thanks again, Michael Harrell, for being with us this evening. Thanks everyone for joining the Cosmic Oracle Show. And same channel and shine and thank you. Thanks.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message. Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Any commercial advertising you may hear in this program is of the sole discretion and benefit of the host of whose program you are listening to. Revolution Radio does not endorse any commercial products, nor does it accept monetary compensation for on-air advertising of commercial products, nor will it ever. We are and shall remain 100% listener supported. Any product advertising on this program are considered used at buyer risk, and Revolution Radio shall not be held liable for any claims or damages received from any product advertised within this program. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Thanks for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we are listener-sponsored and commercial-free. But there still are bills to pay. In order to raise some needed funds to cover the cost, our station is offering a silver special. In the continental United States for a $60 donation, or in Alaska, Hawaii, or Canada for a $70 donation, we will send you an uncirculated 2018 1-ounce pure silver eagle. The $70 donation, the extra 10 is to cover shipping, by the way, outside of the continental United States. When making the donation, you must put Silver Eagle promo in the notes on the donation. And thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at revolution.radio and freedomslips.com. Without you, there is no us. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Take a look around, kid. What do you see? Homes being foreclosed. People working 2-3 jobs just to put food on the table and still drowning in debt. Don't get me wrong. This country is founded on great ideals and principles. They've all been ruined by the banks. Open your eyes to banks that are robbing you. You know who my favorite president was? Oh, Thomas Jefferson. Because he saw all of this coming and tried to stop it. He fought the banks. JFK too, and they killed him for it. The banking institution is more dangerous than an army, he said. He also said that every generation needs a revolution, Jimmy. The American dream is just that. Just a dream. War is a continuation of politics, only by other means. Politics is a continuation of economics by other means. This is our bank. This